There it was. Well, good evening, everyone. Michael, soothing here. That noise you hear in the background is just my haunted mansion noise, you know, from wind howling and a crackling fireplace. And look, we have some candle illumination tonight, which we'll put over here so I don't burn myself too badly. Then I'll be even more dark and difficult to see and discern. Anyway, we have the wind, the thunder, and the fireplace background. I thought tonight we would talk a little bit about scary Halloween stuff, and then at the end I'll show you a little clip of a ghost named Rue, a real ghost who lives at the Heceta Head Lighthouse. Not the lighthouse itself, but at the lighthouse quarters where the lighthouse keepers would stay when they were operating it since 1800 and something, 96 I think. It's one of the scariest. It's considered one of the most haunted 10 places in the country. So I thought I would go check it out. And I did see something spooky. And I even saw a flash of light in the sky, which was a meteor through the trees as we were leaving. I've never seen that before, and it was not a night when there was a meteor shower. So we actually saw 3 phenomena the other night when we were up there. First, I'll tell you a little bit about Rue the Ghost. No, wait. First, let's talk about other scary Halloween stuff from the past. I'm just gonna tell you things I myself have experienced. I think one of the scariest things I told you about in another video, where I woke up with a presence sitting on my chest, but nothing was there, and I felt the presence. There's a phenomenon for this that's a type of mind paralysis as you're waking from sleep. And I'm familiar with that phenomenon, but in this case, I believe it was something else other than that. Because it left the hair on the back of my neck standing up, and I discerned the presence in the room for some time after waking up. I also saw strange shadows on that occasion. This would have been when I was about half my current age. What is another one that was scary? Oh, number 2 was, there was a time when I was by the San Lorenzo River in Santa Cruz County, and it was just nightfall, and I saw up in the trees, way up in the trees, a small dark figure about this big with glowing red eyes, and it moved in a strange way where the eyes never shifted from watching, not like a bobcat or a raccoon or something where you're picking up the eye shine from a flashlight, because there was no source of light and no flashlight. That was one of the freakiest and scariest moments of, say, paranormal phenomenon. Maybe there's a good scientific explanation for a hyper skeptic like myself, but so far I have not found the explanation. Now, the third one that I'll tell you about is one of the most memorable, and this happened about 12 or 13 years ago. We were driving home from Chelsea, was in some kind of choir event in Salinas, California, something like that, and we were driving home on a rural two-lane highway where there's no street lights and it's very dark. And as we were driving along, you know, you look for obstructions or animals or whatever in the road to be cautious. Suddenly, a black figure came across the road just in front of the car. I was going about 40 miles an hour. Now, the only way I can describe this figure is to use a term that you might have seen in a Dean Koontz novel series called Odd Thomas. The figure would be called a Bodash. It was an indecipherable type of being which essentially absorbs all light, so that all you see is blackness. So what you see loping across the road is this black type of figure off of which nothing reflects. At first, when I saw it, I thought I was seeing things. I thought my mind had played a trick on me, and so I turned to the right and asked my late wife, did you see that? And she had right at that moment exclaimed something like a yell and said, "Did you see that?" We both did it at the same time. Neither of us particularly subject to being spooked by things easily. So we talked about the Bodash for some time, because it definitely was not a wild animal. I've seen many wild animals cross my path in my headlights over the years, including, I might say, a wolf up in the high elevations of the Sierras, but many, many other things. I've seen foxes and deer, black dogs like Labradors, black labs, on and on. In that vein, we saw a bear lope across in front of us in the headlights one night, a black bear. But all of those animals were easily discernible in the headlights, even if they were black. This Bodash, you could only define it as absence of light, legs that weren't quite legs, a head that wasn't quite a head, and a body that was just a mass of absence of light. That's the only way it can be described. So, all that said, the thunder agrees with me. All that said, let's talk a little bit about Rue the Ghost before I continue. I will tell you frankly, I don't really believe in ghosts in the classic sense of dead spirit, the spirits of the dead hanging around, not going into an afterlife properly. However, I do believe there's a such thing as a metaphysical realm with spiritual beings in it. And so I believe there are a number of ways that perhaps something like a ghost could manifest itself, whether it's an echo of an actual person, a presence they leave behind that disturbs the fabric of the space-time continuum, or perhaps there could be a malevolent spiritual being, say a demonic being, who observes a human person throughout their life and then mimics them by occasional manifestations. So I would not tell you that I know any particular thing for certain. I'm only describing possibilities. As a Christian, I believe that when you pass away and your body dies, your spirit goes to a different place and doesn't hang around haunting people. However, that doesn't mean there's not something like that going on. So let's move on to Rue the Ghost. The Heceta Head Lighthouse was staffed until the 1960s by lighthouse keepers that stayed in a white house fairly close to the lighthouse, but they still had to walk up a steep trail, taking barrels of oil up there that they would use to keep the light burning. It's very bright, the brightest on the west coast, and can be seen 22 miles out at sea because of how high up it is, something like 200 something feet up on this cliff area. I recommend you visit someday if you're driving along the Oregon coast. But anyway, families, this was a very isolated location, this lighthouse. So families lived there to man the lighthouse, and usually a couple of families, because there were assistant lighthouse keepers. You would think it would be an easy job, but it really wasn't. If you ever take the tour, you can hear about all the things they had to do to keep the giant lighthouse clean and sparkling, to haul up all this oil to keep the wick burning, and all the other things that were required multiple times each day. And of course they had to climb up the staircase, the spiral staircase, multiple times each day, pull up a big giant counterweight that provided the clockwork action for the spinning light, etc. Anyway, when they automated the lighthouse after about 70 years of manual operation, they found a small grave of a baby on the grounds. And the haunting stories that had happened before then and since relate to Rue being the mother of the baby, who may have fallen ill, or more likely fallen to its death or drowned in the ocean there. What kind of manifestations does Rue the Ghost do? Well, the speculation is it's the mom, upset about her baby dying and unable to leave the premises. She stays not at the lighthouse itself, but at the lighthouse keeper place, which is now a bed and breakfast. But it's still spooky even now to go up there at night, as we did last week. And it's quite quiet and isolated. You can hear the ocean in the background, of course. And but many guests have said that they see Rue the Ghost. They've seen her peer at them from the attic window at night, or they have felt her presence, or something has inexplicably moved from one place to another. But apparently the majority of visual sightings have occurred when the house was being worked on, because Rue the Ghost does not want changes made to the house. So in one instance, for example, there was a workman upstairs in the attic who was supposed to work on an electrical and replace a window or something, and Rue appeared to him, and he fled the attic in terror. This was a burly, strong guy, not prone to an active fantasy life, whatever. He refused to go back in. He replaced the pane of glass from the outside, or no, he decided he would only work on the outside and not go in the house after that. He accidentally broke a pane of glass up at the attic level, and when they went up the next day to clean that up and fix it, the glass had been swept neatly into a little pile. And so it's things like that. And of course they've heard Rue walking around and things. What we saw the other night was a strange flickering shadow, and then I also saw something move across the trees close by, and we also saw, strangely enough, what appeared to be a meteor, but it was through the trees, and I've never seen one that way before. We had been doing plenty of sky gazing for a little while before that, because the sky is so dark there. You can see the Milky Way and the galaxies and things, nebula. So as we were retreating, we turned around, to look at the very spooky woods, and suddenly saw, whoosh, And I think I caught that streak of light on my video. I've never caught a meteor, by the way, on video before. So all in all, it was a pretty odd phenomenon gazing evening. Perhaps there's something to this haunted Heceta house story after all. With that said, if you're not asleep yet, I will stitch together the clips, and please pardon me if they're not the normal ASMR, because I'm not going to voice over them. I will let you just hear us doing our normal conversation as we film the woods and the lighthouse keeper's residence and the upper window. By the way, the upper window looks at from a distance where we were as if there's a figure standing there, but when you zoom in, it's not a figure. It's a big potted plant or small tree in the room. But that wasn't what we saw that was strange. What we saw that was strange was, I don't even know how to describe it, a change in the light, say a momentary pause in the space-time continuum that caused a dimming and a brightening. So anyway, what's that, Rue? You be the judge. And then on our trip back down the steep, dark, winding trail, we look at the spooky woods and the other phenomenon. I hope you have a good Halloween and that you get more treats than tricks. And yes, soon the time will change and days will be shorter and winter is upon us. I have lots of plans for winter. All right. Hey everybody, we're down at Heceta Head Lighthouse, where there is a haunted house, the ghost of Rue. We're gonna go up and see if we can spot Rue, because it's a spooky, dark night. I'm gonna pan over and show you the moon, if I can. But you won't be able to see much. But you can see the mountain and the reflection on the water. And we can see a lot of stars. Now we're gonna go up and see if we can spot the ghost of Rue. Joanne, my light and sound person, is going to pan up to show you the spooky woods as we're on our way up to the haunted lighthouse keeper's home, where Rue the Ghost resides. But it looks like she could come out into these spooky woods at night from time to time. I see spider webs here too, which is, of course, a good thing. Can you pan to the left a little? I'll show them these spooky woods. Yeah. So we'll come back on in a little bit and show you what we find. I heard a strange noise. I have to go investigate it, folks. We are now way up the trail. You can't see by this video, but there's huge storm waves coming in by the light of the crescent gibbous moon, waxing moon. I wish I had a better low light camera to show you what this looks like. It's amazing, but it's also spooky at the same time. We're almost up to our destination, but we're awestruck by this sight first, and the big waves coming in under the moonlight. So we will just stop and watch these waves for a few minutes and listen to the sounds. I wish you all could be here to see this, but in a way I'm happy to be here alone with my girl. It's a very scary but romantic place. There it was. There it was again. I'm sure I saw something positive. We will wait and watch. Did you see it? I'm sure I saw it. It looks like, after watching for a while, something has appeared, and it keeps changing, shifting. Can't tell exactly, but watch close with me because the camera is zoomed in, and it can see more than my naked eye can see. It's so strange with the ocean in the background. And we'll see if we spot anything. I thought I saw a shadow. Spooked, so I think we're gonna go back down the mountain. It's dark. And we only have a limited amount of flashlight and battery. And we'll check out the spooky woods one last time. But we love this spot with the waves. It's like dark shadows. If you ever saw that series or movie. Here we are in the spooky woods, and my partner here is going to show you the spooky woods. Joanne, my spouse. Can you pan the light over there, babe? Show them. These woods all look like they're coming alive at night. All the branches reaching out at us. And it doesn't take much imagination to look down in there. Look down into the dark part. Let's see if we can spot anything. Did you see something? Oh, I saw something that looked like a fleeting light. Let's see the flashlight. It wasn't the flashlight because I've got that pointed right there. Let's go this way with it. You can see, folks. This is definitely the spirit of Halloween here. It's about as spooky as it gets. Being in these woods at night. Nobody around. Nobody but the ghouls, the spirits, the ghosts, the supernatural presence, the metaphysical entities, okay? If you believe in that sort of thing. Alright, back to the safety of our car now. We just had to show you one more before we go, because this is a very strange spot. You can hear the sound of the waves in the distance, but also the sound of running water up close. And these particular woods here, deep, dark, and as spooky as, look at that one that's reaching out there. That one looks like two arms that are gonna grab us when we walk by. It's pretty freaky. And if I pan around, you see the moon hanging low through the bushes. That's what that yellow light is. Turn the flash off for a sec, babe, and they will see only the moon. That's what that strange yellow light is the moon. And every now and then, oh, I just saw it. Did you see it?
Yes, a shooting star.
I don't know if anybody else was able to see it on the
camera.
camera.
Yes.
I hope so. Maybe it happened just for us. I don't know. Yes. Well, that's it, everyone. That is our own little Halloween or pre-Halloween haunted hike, and I can't really convey the spookiness of it by letting you watch clips, because it was far more spooky than what I can convey in the video. But nonetheless, we enjoyed, and we'll go back there whenever we want to feel the hair on the back of our neck stand up. Until then, please don't ASMR and drive. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I feel as if I'm fuzzing out now a little bit. So let's blow out the candles. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye. I think there's a ghost in my hand, don't you? Bye-bye. Hanging around up on the front door.
That one's exploring. It's moving now. You can go.
There's a dragon up here. Some dragon eyes. Spooky stuff up there.
Oh, ayun na meron pa.
Oh, Jessica.